like in a practice, this is intended to keep data secure from unauthorized access or unauthorized attacks on any alterations are going on a particular information. So rather than we discuss more on cyber security, we discuss always on information security. Why? The information security is superset of the cyber security or any kind of security, whether it could be a physical, technical, or any controls. So basically, because of anything happens to you, your system, your organization, so that is because of the fundamental reason is information only. If suppose if let's say you say that in my home there is a 10 lakh rupees are there. If this information flows outside, definitely somebody is required for such kind of money, and there is no choice for them. So this can become as an thinking or thought process to steal that money. Am I right? So if the information, if I don't have any money, so what is the reason to get into your house and take that money? Like, for example, if you take it, I am posting in a picture while I'm in tour to Himachal Pradesh, and posting photos means, so what is the information is giving? Of course, so you are enjoying your holidays and it is knowing to everybody. And if it is okay, if it is knowing to your friends, but if it is for entire public, because so we all thought that in Facebook we are posting the messages for our friends, but the friends of friends, friends of friends. So there may be unknown members also would connected to this Facebook and understand that you are touring in Himachal Pradesh, so that it is an opportunity for me to hit you at your wherever your home is there. So this kind of information is, if flows outside, so there could be a possible threat. It's not like that everything when you post it, and if it is something happens with respect to the security and against to your research. But information, if you are controlling as much as within you and within your organization, so there are no such kind of an attacks. You can reduce the 60 to 70% attacks by controlling the information itself. So that is where these information security principles are very much important. So what is information security refers to? The process and methodologies designed and implemented at your organization to control your information, to sustain yourself about combating various cyber security attacks or information security attacks. It could be in a print or electronic or any other form that information is there, but that should be confidential and keep it as ever to, that means nothing but private, and the sensitive information should not be allowed to the unauthorized access or unauthorized use or unauthorized or somebody inside member cannot misuse or disclose. Maybe some people accidentally or intentionally or unintentionally distract also this information without knowing the importance of the data. Some people may do modification, disruption. So these are the things are very part of this information security, and the major principles of cyber security is the people thinks that availability, confidentiality, integrity. So that's what these three are very much important. When you are considering these three are very much important. So because why? Because the availability, confidentiality, and integrity are the three, we say that the basic information security principles, and also called CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, availability triad. The non-reputation and authenticity are that definitely they help to support to further tighten your security to control various attacks. So when you're looking about that critical characteristics information, when a person is transforming a data from one system to another system, is always we can say that it's a normal flow. But if somebody is interrupting the data, not to allowing the information from you to other is generally called interruption. Let's take an example. Maybe when you are trying to access some www.x.x.x.com, let's say, but your organization is not allowing you to access that kind of website by filtering the data. So that means when you try to want to connect in a web server, you are not able to connect that web server. Somebody is interrupting in organization based on their policy. They were stopping, not to allow. So suppose, let's say there is a policy that everybody should use only .gov.in or .nic.in email IDs. Gmails, you can't use it. So what is that? When you're trying to Gmail website, when you're opening gmail.com, the page is not coming. The page is in turn is coming is only nic.in mail ID. Because we are trying to access gmail.com, but at the time, so the proxy, it is seeing your packet and stopping you not to allow. And with respect to your request, there is an nic.in mail page is coming. So the way they kept it designed in that you are not allowed to access Gmail from office. You have to only access only the NIC email. So that means it is interrupting your request of Gmail. Am I right? So this is what the problem of availability. That means you want to avail the Gmail service, but you are not able to available that service. So what is that availability? The access to the information is required. If that access to the Gmail is not there, then it is called as a problem of availability. So what you can do that? So this is a backup is required. Backup means you should have some connectivity where it is not going through your firewall so that you can access. Let's say take example your mobile. You may be accessing indirectly Gmail. So that is your personal mobile device, then definitely you can access. There is no control on that. But an organization system you can't access. That is where this one. Tomorrow, let's say you are hosting in a web page. Another example, web page. That web page somebody is hacked. So that means what? That web page is not available to indented users where you hosted. To host immediately, you require backup. So backup is one of the solution, the preventing the information and resources from being inaccessible when needed. If somebody is hacked website, immediately you can host that website from your DR site. So that is where you can solve this problem of availability. Now the same thing, when normal flow is going on, somebody is able to intercept your data. Somebody is able to see the data. So if automated proxies are there, automated proxy is able to see your Gmail communication to you are trying to access. Because the policy they were the system administrator or security administrator implemented tightly. So that's what immediately it is instead of Gmail web page, it is coming NIC mail web page. So what it means? This proxy is listening your data. Am I right? Similarly, the hackers also can keep some tools to listen about your data. Even though some people can search the data because entire data is flowing, no? You can see in the Wireshark practicals. You will understand how the packets you can see and what kind of data you can see. And when you are trying to collect this data, how do you making this one? So the data is flowing from one side to another side. Somebody can automated tools you can keep it and search that at and a dot. Wherever the one sentence is combined with yet and dot symbol, so that you can dump the data into my data set. What is that yet and dot would be sentence? That definitely 99.99% is it is an email ID. So when the people are talking to in the for transformation of the data, I can also as an hacker collect your emails, email database. How do I use this email database is the next thing. So maybe I will send in a spoofed email. I collect two different mails from one organization. I spoof one email and send in a nice book as an attachment where when you download it, so that the attachment may be having a virus and your system can be controlled as in a bot. So that is the way the attacker do that. But intercepting is like in a telephone connectivity where when two people are talking to each other, so they can listen that and what kind of things you are transacting each other. So that is where interception. So if somebody is able to see your data communication, so what is that? There is a confidentiality problem. There is no confidentiality at all. So what is that confidentiality limits? The access to the information. It limits to access to the information. Only non-confidential information only can access, but all confidential information. So how you can prevent this problem? You have to use encryption. Encryption is basically used for preventing unauthorized subjects from accessing the information. So confidentiality problems, basically you required to encrypt entire data and you have to limit the access to the information, who can access, who cannot access. And encryption is always helpful in preventing unauthorized subjects. Unauthorized people cannot access such kind of information. So encryption technologies which we need compulsorily required. Now, third one is confidential integrity. See, somebody is able to change your data or modify your data while you are transacting to any third party. Let's say when you are transacting and sending in a message hello, and the third party, that same in between whoever their man in the middle, he changes hi to hello and delivering. And whoever receiving this guy thinking that maybe you have sent hello but not hi. And when he is replying, that is again back to this guy, and he can modify the data and forward that side also. So that while you both are talking to each other, somebody is able to modify the data. Let's say same proxy also, you can take an example. When you're trying to access Gmail, then instead of that, I can send a back to, instead of Gmail, I'm sending back actually to you. But if I wanted to change it and deliver it to other machine, so what happens? So definitely I can I can modify and send it as a man in the middle. So this is what integrity problem. What is that integrity? So if you are implementing integrity, the assurance of the data, assurance of the information is always there. If there is a problem of for integrity, there is no assurance of the data. Who created all the things? You don't know exactly. Somebody can, if anybody can modify the data, so there is a no assurance of that you received from so and so person. For that, what you require? Hashing is required. Hashing means so preventing unauthorized subjects from modifying the information. So when you created a document and if you hash it, and the document and hash you shared with to the end user, and he also calculate while he, after receiving that particular data, he also made it hashing and find out the whatever the number, the series of the characters will come as part of the hashing, that should match with your hash, so that you can confirm that hash is same, so that the whomever the sent the document, original document, that would be, you can say that you can assure that that information is right. So these are the three problems are majorly we always look into that. uh, CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Why? Just a minute. There is a audio added in this particular thing. That is where. Uh, okay. Uh, I don't know how to stop this audio. So the basically, I think there is some audio problem. Okay, see, that's what is my mean is that CIA, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability with respect to DAD, the disclosure, alteration, destruction. So these are the relation between the confidentiality. That means when you are maintaining a data of confidentiality, disclosing the information, when you restrict the as much as disclosure the information, the confidentiality increases as well as the confidentiality versus disclosure, the integrity versus alteration also. The integrity is what so to confirm about that nobody changes the data, nobody alters the data. So when integrity increases, when alteration is not there, then integrity is might be is a higher. And if there's something like if against the destruction is nothing but availability. So CI diet rights always is related to each other. So as we discussed some of the examples with respect to the confidentiality, so the ATM card transaction is one of the good example. See, when you are accessing uh, ATM and withdrawing a money or doing some transaction, with immediately it updates in your account. Even though you are using a different bank ATM, also it is automatically there would be uh, change. There would be update in your account. It talks about more on integrity, but confidentiality is what when you do the transaction. So you need a PIN number. So along with your ATM card, am I right? When you use either one of that, if it is not available, so you can't access. So that is where they implemented the confidentiality. So nowadays they were for entering into ATM room also you required access, that card access. So once you entered, PIN is required. If even if after entering into the ATM, if you don't remember your PIN, you can't access. And you have a PIN but doesn't have a card, also you can't access. So the confidentiality they increase it that the transaction only you are doing, the card holder only doing. Of course, if you are sharing a PIN and if you are sharing a card to somebody, this card confidentiality breach can happen. So that's what they are increasing biometrics. The card and PIN is a two-way authentication. And also if you are insisting your biometric authentication or another PIN through mobile, if they are enabled, so one more factor they were added so that the factor is increasing, two-factor to three-factor authentication. As many as factors when they increase it, this is called as a multi-factor authentication. So for that, they may use security tokens, biometrics, ATM card pins, mobile pin, etc., etc. So that is where the confidentiality we can implement it. So now we will see that some case study. The case study is nothing but, so what factor of before going to the case study, so I try to explain that if for one of the organization, because of they have as many as CDs, and CDs and DVD ROMs are no use of at this moment, and it is unnecessarily increasing the data. So because this company already transport the data into cloud, the CDs data or hard disk data are transferred to their cloud servers. In the cloud that in data and information is there. This is the one private company story. But however, once they stopped during the last 6 months onwards, they're using directly accessing the cloud, and these two things are useless for them. The CD-ROM and DVD-ROMs and hard disk. And these hard disks also during the time of 2005 2006 they were collected, and even though they cannot connect it to present available systems, the all old system they already removed in 2012 13 itself, and keeping this much kind of space and all, they thought uh, anyway these things cannot be accessed from any newly available system, they throw it into dustbin. But however, they don't have such kind of computers, but I am using my own computer, which is I used it in 2003 2004, still with me, still I'm using for different data and all. But when I'm having such kind of server, so I can take this hard disk and I can integrate it and I can collect the data. Am I right? So that is where this case study you have to look into that. What factor of the CA DDA tried can the credit card company be best said to have a violated? Whether they have violated confidentiality, either way they violated destruction, whether they have violated identification and availability, which we will see now. So the confidential data without destroying the media, if a media is unreadable, it should be physically destroyed, even burnt to avoid losing confidential data. This is what required actually. Even though as in a technically or technologically, these hard disks cannot be accessed by yourself. These should be the data. If you are importance giving to the data, you have to destruct it, destroy it, even the suggesting the burnt to avoid losing your confidential data to that. See, with that confidential information may not be used because of that accounting editing is over long back and it is the data of 2005, 2006. Still, the personal information is personal data may not change as much as no. So as you are a bank customer or your credit card customer in 2005, maybe you are continuing with no with respect add-on security, but your personal data, email ID, your mobile number, maybe still you are using the same number. So that is where it is very much important information. So when you look into the confidentiality and the analysis, so what is your point of view? What is that we can say that? So if you look into that identification is not at all right choice, because so identification you are able in this, there is no issue. Why I'm saying is that, so here only we, it's not any kind of an identifying the data is not a key principle, as am I right? So if you can see that either you see confidentiality or integrity and availability. Identification of the data is not part of this, so straight away I'm removing this identification. But availability, actually these people are made entire data available to everybody. So they made available in the cloud. Now they throw it into the dustbin. So even the somebody also can access this data. So I'm removing the availability also. Now distraction. Actually, they didn't do any kind of distraction. Am I right? The destruction has to be done because this information should not fall into the foul place. So then any fraudsters, so that they didn't have to do destruction, but they didn't do destruction. So what exactly that fourth one is the confidentiality, because confidentiality is the one of the thing they avoided here. So the because of the throwing the data without distracting, without and making available to everybody, this data is can be taken anybody, any hacker, even the public also can be utilized for different purposes. So the major problem, whatever they said with respect to uh, factor of CA or DDA tried can be credit card company best said to have violated is the confidentiality in this right answer for this question. So however, beyond the CIA trade, confidentiality, integrity and the availability trade, the Don Parker proposed a six-sided model to integrate a pack of entire cybersecurity principles. Of course, confidentiality, integrity, availability, possessiveness is important. The controlling of entire thing is important. The possessiveness is nothing but ownership of thing. Every member should be responsible that they are their assets, their information as their own entity, rather than it is an organization responsibility. You are part of organization, but you need to take a responsibility that entire organization data is also important to you, not only your data. So that possessiveness is we need to implement, and the control should be implemented. So other than that, so authenticity, the authentication methodologies we need to implement to maintain the confidentiality and confidentiality, integrity and availability. See, if when you implement two-factor, three-factor authentication, even though you forgot your, you lost your card, while you are doing a transaction, or while doing a transaction, that definitely the losing of your card details, because some people are keeping skimmers. No, when you are keeping uh, when you are trying to access the data, that data could be through skimming devices, they can collect it and they can transfer into another uh, expired card, and they can use that card also. But your PIN is protecting. So that is what two factor. Along with PIN, nowadays banks also is trying to give some kind of a mobile PIN, additional PIN token. So that could also utilize to protect your information and control the accessing to. So such kind of authentication mechanism, multi-factor authentication should be implemented. Authentication and authorization, what to access. You are authenticated system into a particular system, but in the system, what he can access, what he can run the jobs, what kind of softwares he used in that system. This authorization also, if you implement it, so this supports a lot to do CAI. So generally that is why authentication protocols we generally called as an supporting principles of cybersecurity with respect to confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So for this, you required a kind of utilities where, see, if you for everything, if you are enabling as many as passwords, remembering those passwords also very much difficult nowadays. So that what we need to look into that, we have to look about that various utilities in such a way that it should not be burden to the end user. So like it's like in a transparent, but always it's not given as many as the burden to the end user. Otherwise, the end user never uses those applications. Because of the nature of the human, you can't remember as many as passwords. So that's what you need to create some utilities where the security could be implemented. So this way we can look about that the CIA tried and having this one. So you can go through this csoonline.com article and 70 tips and tricks for mastering the CISP examination by R. Sarma Danturi is also helps a lot. And I have taken from these references and for implementing CAA. If you have any questions further, you can ask us so that I'll try to answer some of the things so that we can take a break of 5 minutes. Then we start some of the basics from the Linux and Windows, where our colleague Sanjay Adil will take care of from 11 o'clock onwards. If you have any questions, let us know that. So please type your questions in the chat box so that it would be easy for the people to this one. And while you are doing to everyone, it's good that what kind of questions you are expecting. Others also understand while we are explaining. So with respect to the questions, so that I request always. Mr. Saurabh Vadwa is telling about that his email address is not registered on the platform. So I request you to please share in the WhatsApp your email address. We'll check it whether it is enabled or not, so that we can give immediately about information that why the problem is there to respect to email address. Yeah, sure. Saurabh, mail sent. And if you have from your side any requirements with respect to the cyber security, we can take up that also as a special courses. We are trying to parallelly enable some kind of basics into this another module, which is not part of the evaluation, but for understanding your purpose, you can learn these things through that. Like understanding IP address, understanding how IP address will be subnetting and all. So networking basics and Linux basics, that also will add separately one module to learn to refer yourself. So otherwise, if no questions, we will take a break at this moment and we come back at 11 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Hello, Pravesh. Are you there? Pravesh or Naresh? Hello, Naresh.
Hello.
Naresh, what I'm telling, I'm Sanjay here.
Yeah.
See, I am not able to share my content here. Can you give me the privilege of sharing?
Yes, Naresh will share it. I'll inform him. Just a minute, Sanjay.
Oh, good afternoon, sir. Good morning, sir. Sanjay here. Murthy, sir.
Yeah. Please, just a minute. I'm informing to him to give the.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Oh.
इत्मीनान से आराम से बोलने का, ठीक है?
मुझे पता है।
और वीडियो ऑन कर लो,
वीडियो ऑन करेंगे बाद में।
वीडियो जरूरी है।